Well, a very warm welcome back to the end of the week, Friday edition of City News, where we're going to find out about photon coherency therapy. Goodness gracious me. Wendy Matthews, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome. Been reading through the information that you've sent through, and this is really, really interesting stuff.
I think
So, you know, alternative health and alternative diagnosis. So this is part of that group.
Yes.
What exactly is it?
It's a system that measures the light coherency in the body. It's a diagnosis system, it's a treatment system, ultimately the short version of that. Very direct, very in-depth, very covering of pretty much absolutely everything that you can imagine.
So pretty much you're saying that every cell in your body emits a light?
Yes. Yep, it's like a laser beam.
Beam.
It's sort of like that. So when things are incoherent and scattered, which it would be if there was the miscommunication with organs or failure or an illness or bacteria or whatever, that then changes the intensity of that laser. So that's what's measured, and that's the coherency, that is the communication that's given between the cells. And that's what we measure and that's what we treat.
Wow. Okay. So how do you test?
Okie dokes.
If I came to you and I said, I'm incoherent, I have problems with my lasers.
Yep.
How do you figure that out?
Okay, so we've got the system, the Starlight instrument that's computer run only through program to help it run. It's not what does the work. I would give you an electrode in your hand, and there's also an electro measure pen, like an what do they call it? Acupressure pen. And that's what's going to be tested on your fingers and toes on the meridian lines that end there. Now they're all relevant to various organs in the body and meridian lines in the body, and that's where we get the readings of coherency or not. From there, then remedies are adjusted and matched to fit the problem and fit the disturbance.
So if there is a problem, what you're saying is you fix the light?
Pretty much.
Changing a light bulb?
Pretty much, yep, bingo. So if your light's going dim and there's not quite enough energy in there, you need it to be refreshed, recharged, or even just polished so that the light emission is actually there and it's not covered in dust.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. Something here, watch out for burnout. People should listen better to their own bodies. Now, I hear that so many times.
Oh yeah.
And it's true, isn't it?
I've been there, yes. I can fully vouch for that, and it's not good. We all live in a society now where everything's go, 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 two-parent working families, or quite often even now single-parent working families. A lot of people don't have the luxury of being able to afford to have a stay-at-home parent. And even if it's not about working, it's just about our social commitments and things like that and what we're expected of. And the fact that we are not seen as being a decent citizen if we do nothing but stay home and care for the kids or do just what our own thing is. And you just can't physically manage that. And okay, things might fit into the day. Doesn't mean it's any good for the body. And what we do is we end up going and going and going until you end up running just on that pure willpower, where God forbid you stop and you crash. You've gone too far.
I mean, it's little things like, you know, if in a weekend you feel like a bit of a nana-napper in the afternoon, that's not you being lazy, that's your body saying, hey, you've had a tough week,
Remember
I need
me.
to have a bit of an extra, you know, lie down.
Yes.
But people don't listen, people don't, what is it? I don't know.
I think people get laughed at. If I said to somebody, I'm going to go home for a nana nap, they'd think that was a bit odd.
Yeah, probably. My family get quite used to it. And a couple of other things. Electron spin inversion.
Oh yeah.
What on earth is that? Sounds like a clothes dryer or something.
If only it were that simple. What happens if you've got thousands of electrons in the body, okay, they all spin on their axis. If everything's coherent and functioning properly and communicative, it should go clockwise. If they spin on their axis anti-clockwise, you end up with symptoms. Most common one is chronic fatigue. Most common one is feeling incredibly unrested after a whole night's sleep. allergies, especially environmental allergies. Your whole body, it's like living in chaos. You can still function, everybody still moves about and does their own thing, but it doesn't mean it's going to be at the best of your ability, and it costs a huge amount of effort for the body to function in that state. Allergies, chronic fatigue would probably be number one on my list for that as a symptom.
So pretty much what you're saying is through your treatment,
Yep.
you can actually get them spinning back the right way.
That only takes 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Who cannot have this done? Like scars, surgical scars sometimes?
No, there's no issues with surgical scars. They can either be done cosmetically, which does take a longer period of time, but surgical scars, especially with things like amputations or any surgery, they block up the energy system in the body. It's like the idea of having the amputated leg at the knee, but you still get the itchy feet. It's still that same sort of theory, whereas even if you have something removed, the issue isn't actually gone. It's just that physical part of it's been dealt with. It doesn't mean that there's still not the problem underlying behind that. But the people who cannot be treated are those that have had organ transplants or artificial veins in place. The reason being because this is a huge re-education tool for the body, is how I see it, and having the body learning to function for itself and have that discrimination that we should have and what we need to have to function in our world. The body ends up learning that you can't have those parts that don't belong to you, and that's then a real dangerous part for me to be in.
Be good.
That's not a good thing.
No.
So strongly will not touch people like that, but pretty much anything else is fine.
So where did you learn about this?
I have learned about this in Europe. I have practiced full-time for 10 years, coming up to 11 years. The person who actually created this instrument is my father, Johan Boswinkel. He lives at the moment in Norway, but we're both Dutchies. So that's where that's all come from, and he has a very strong background in medicine, conventional and complementary. But anyway, I trained with him and have worked in New Zealand pretty much ever since then, where I've done my bachelor's and studying for my master's in health sciences now, just to top it off.
And people accept this?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very widely used in right throughout Europe. Hundreds of therapists. It's just poor old little old New Zealand. We're a bit.
I know viewers
slow.
watching are going to be pricking their ears and going, ooh, this sounds interesting. This, how do they get in contact with you?
I have got my email, WX Matthews, @xnet.co.nz, or I have my cell phone 021 1303 127.
Fantastic. And we might fix up my little inversion. What do we call them?
Spin inversion?
Spin inversions.
Absolutely.
Sure, I've got some.
No worries.
Thanks for coming in, Wendy.
Happy to help.
Interesting stuff.
Thank you.